Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hi, I'm 28 male. I'm the youngest son in the family and I have 4 older sisters. My parents adopted me when I was a year old. While growing up, I was always bullied by my sisters as I was the youngest and no one took me or my opinions seriously. By the time I was 10 years old, my sisters, one after the other, started going off to college and moved out of the house. So when I graduated high school, I assumed that this was the same road that I was going to take. So I started looking for colleges and all of them were outside my town as ours was a small town. When my parents got to know that I was looking to apply to colleges, they casually announced that I was not allowed to leave this town, and if I so badly wanted to go to college, I could go to the local community college. I was shocked. I was a straight A student, was even better at studies than my sisters, and had even gotten a merit scholarship from my school. I was so upset and tried convincing my parents to let me go, and this led to an argument which got very heated. And at the heat of the moment, my dad screamed at me and said that they adopted me only to look after them because they knew all my sisters would get married and move out of the town. I was appalled and extremely hurt. I didn't say another word, packed my bags that very night and left. I went and stayed at my friend's house. When my sisters heard of this, they kept bombarding me with calls and messages, saying how I was ungrateful to my parents and that I was a freeloader. I got even more upset because I realized that they all knew this as well all along. Anyways, with the help of my teachers and friends from school, I managed to use my scholarship and applied to a decent college and left the following month. When my family heard this, they fully cut me out, did not invite me for any weddings or anything. Not that I really wanted to be a part of the family celebration of a family that never considered me to be a part of the family. I managed to graduate and find a decent job. When I was 27, I got married to my girlfriend of 3 years. I didn't inform or invite any of my family. My wife's family made sure that I didn't miss them and really made my wedding day extremely special. After a long time, I realized how a family should actually be like and was very grateful. Around 2 weeks ago, I got a call from my eldest sister. I knew I shouldn't have picked up the call, but I did anyways. She made some small talk and then got straight to the point. She informed me that my dad was really ill and that they all decided that I must move in with my parents and take care of them. Very sarcastically, I asked her, "To whom do I owe this pleasure?" She got mad and said that for the 17 years my parents had taken care of me, I have to be grateful and do this as a dutiful son. When I asked her why she and the other sisters couldn't do it, she said that I didn't have the right to ask such questions and just had to do as I was told. I told her that I had no intention of listening to her or anyone and that I didn't owe anyone anything, and cut the call. Am I the a-hole? Update. My sisters, their husbands, and random extended family members kept calling me, telling me that I was an entitled brat who is shitting on the hands that fed me. If not for my wife, I feel like I would have gone and done something stupid to avenge them. I'm going to therapy now to deal with the BS they put me through. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your adoptive parents are for adopting a child for the sole purpose of having someone to look after them when they get older. This sounds calculated and cruel to me. You deserved a real family, one who would love you and take care of you emotionally, mentally, and physically. All your adoptive parents did was feed you while they left all the other aspects untouched. Your adoptive sisters bullied you and they did nothing about it. I'm glad you were able to get out and build a good life for yourself. You don't owe them anything. Cut contact with all of them and say good riddance to bad rubbish. Story 2. A few weeks ago, I was sent a sign-up sheet for a co-worker who was having surgery to provide meals. My thought was that this surgery was causing her not to be able to get out to buy supplies to cook. So I signed up for one meal. I decided to make chicken fettuccine as we were told to make her soft foods. A few days ago, this co-worker hosted a barbecue for the long weekend holiday. She provided most of the food, not that I ate any. There I met a sister and brother-in-law who were here to care for her while she heals. At the end of the barbecue, the sister said, "We have so much food left, plus the food we have in the fridge, we won't need to make food for weeks." Because of this comment and the fact that the coworker had people staying to help her, I decided to withdraw my name from the sign-up sheet for food. Also, I should note I'm vegetarian, gluten-free and lactose intolerant. So I would have had to spend a lot of money on things I can't even eat. There would have been a lot left from what I made for the coworker. When I took my name off, I noticed that almost every day, both lunch and dinner, over the 3 weeks of meals was covered, so there was no lack of food for her. Today, the person who organized the meal delivery came to my office to say that he had noticed my name had been taken off the list. I relayed my 2 main reasons for why I took my name off the list: her having caretakers and her already having tons of food. He told me taking my name off the list was unacceptable and rude. He said that we as a work family need to provide for our workers in need, and this meal service does just that. I will say this may be a cultural thing. I am Australian. I moved to the northern United States in 2015 for university and then moved south almost a year ago, and I've had a hard time understanding their culture down here. No a-holes here, OP. You signed up to a commitment and you should have still done it. Not saying it means a-hole, but it was kind of a crappy thing to do. But I also get where you're coming from, because it would be wasteful. Maybe you could have put your name further down the list. I mean, the work family thing is a bit of a guilt trip and is also a bit of an a-hole for that. Maybe your reasons are valid, but I also think you should still have made it since you agreed to. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I'm from the southern US. Making food for someone in a time of need, that is surgery, death in the family, new baby, etc., is more of a goodwill gesture. Don't feel obligated to make something, but if you do, make a vegetarian dish. There is no need to buy excess ingredients you won't use again. Not the a-hole. Some places in the US can get a bit weird with work culture, but you're right. Having everyone make meals for a coworker when there is no need is really just asking people to burden themselves so that the office can look good. And what's the deal with her having a barbecue when she's supposedly recovering and needs an entire office worth of assistance? It sounds like if you did make the food, it would likely be wasted. There's a good chance much of the gifted food will be. Not the a-hole. I'm a southerner. I'm very familiar with this type of situation. In their world, regarding the specific type of southern etiquette, what you did was rude. There's this sort of environment that says you do things for others, sometimes at the expense of your own convenience, but what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of people do this type of thing so that they are perceived as rude or inconsiderate. Don't get me wrong, there are still plenty of people who have selfless motivations. But I would be willing to bet that 90% of the people who signed up for this meal train only did it so they wouldn't look bad. The bottom line is, you aren't required to inconvenience yourself or anyone else. P.S. If the surgery lady doesn't send thank you notes to all of those names listed, then you aren't the only one who broke the southern etiquette rules. Story 3. I'm a married mother of 2 kids who are 6 and 10 years old. Before my wife got pregnant, she told me that she wanted to stay home with any kids we had when they were young. We ran the math and it could work, so she is a stay-at-home parent. Her kids start school in September of the calendar year they turn 6 years old, which for my oldest is this year. My wife is returning to work later next month. My wife is an accountant. Since tax season is the slow time at my job, I take lots of time off and my wife works at her old firm for a couple of months every year. She also kept up with professional developments, industry news, and networking while she was off work. We made sure to budget so we could have some money in savings and that I had a good life insurance policy since I'm the one working full-time. Basically, we budgeted and planned and had a safety net. My sister is also a stay-at-home parent. However, her and her husband spent more than he made every month and maxed out their credit cards on expensive clothes and vacations. My sister has no degree or educational savings. She has only had one minimum job, and she quit when she was pregnant by telling her manager to shove it up her ass. These are things my sister has told me herself. Her husband had a job, but now he's been arrested and will likely be going to prison for the next 5 to 10 years. Just an estimate on the amount of time. My sister is in a bad spot, even with family helping her where we can. She blames my wife for putting the idea in her, my sister's head, that she too can stay home. My wife never advised her. I understand that she's really stressed out, so the first time I did not say anything, because even my wife told me to leave it alone. The next time she started badgering my wife and blaming her, I told my sister to back off and stop blaming my wife for her own problems. This is after my wife offered to watch her kids while she met with the staff at the benefits office or went to job interviews. At that point, my sister cried, and now she's shouting from the rooftops about how awful me and my wife were to her. I'm irate and wish I had said something the first time. It's not our fault my sister didn't plan better. I would hope to never go to prison, but we planned and sacrificed for my wife to be able to stay home. My sister is angry at us, but I'm angry with her for putting this blame on my wife who didn't do anything. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister is blaming someone other than herself because she can't possibly be responsible for her poor planning. Oh yes, she can. You do you and she can do she. Don't become financially responsible for her, or you will never get her to stand on her own 2 feet. Not the a-hole. Your sister is shifting blame when she herself had no career prior to getting pregnant and being a stay-at-home mom. No money, and obviously no ability to be responsible for her choices and mistakes. Don't help her. Cut contact for a while. She will never stop and will keep putting the blame on everyone but herself. Not the a-hole. Your sister made a decision which turned out to be a bad plan and they didn't have contingencies in place. Assuming your wife and your sister have the same advantages, opportunities for education, financial support if they went to university, accommodations for any disabilities, etc., then there is only your sister and her husband to blame for their situation. If you and your wife had some unintentional advantages, that is, your wife went to a better school or your sister had ADHD, which is underdiagnosed in women and can result in poor decision-making and struggling academically, which leads to poor employment, then that's not your fault. But I can see why your sister would be salty and looking for someone to blame.